Hello and welcome to Searching for Service, a show designed to help current and future Rotarians find purpose through service. Our show's promise is a dedication to sharing stories, experiences, and opportunities for those searching for service, and how Rotary has been the organization to bring it together. The goal of the show is to grow the Rotary family by connecting through service projects. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm our co-host, Joe Kirk.
And today we're going to dive deep into the heart of Rotary, service above self. So, again, lovely listeners, we have an amazing guest on. Her name is Sylvia Allen. She is here through Sylvia's Children. It's a 501(c) organization dedicated to improving the lives of her grandchildren, to give children a fighting chance. And so we're not going to dive into that yet, but welcome, Sylvia, to Searching for Service.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. My pleasure to be there.
We are happy to have you and really excited to dive into Sylvia's Children, but we always like to dedicate this first section to our listeners learning a little bit more about our guest. So let's dive in. Let's hear a little bit more about you, and then we can dive into Sylvia's Children.
Okay, I'm originally from Minnesota. I went to Edina High School and graduated from the University of Minnesota with a speech and theater arts degree. And I thought, I think I want to get a master's in Elizabethan drama. So I did a whole semester of Elizabethan drama. And I said, right, you're really going to get rich on that, Sylvia. I think you need to rethink your life. And, of course, when I was in college, I had always been at the radio station, WMMR, and adored radio.
So you're at home.
Yeah.
I am. Oh, are you kidding? I'm in seventh heaven. So when I graduated, I got a job at KDWB, and I was a copywriter, and I was one of the first women on the air, and I was Miss Wonderful. This is Miss Wonderful wishing you a wonderful day. And people would come in looking for Miss Wonderful. I'm so sorry, she just left. Looking at her. So, and then I went to work for WDGY, and I was traffic and copy, and then I was a salesperson, and I was one of the first women radio salespeople. All radio salespeople now are women, I think. But I was one of the first ones. And then I went from there to KSTP Radio and TV. And with KSTP Radio, Brooke Henderson and Jane Johnston had a 2-hour daily radio show. And at TV, Jane Johnston had a 15-minute live TV show every day. And so I was producer for both of those and loved it. I mean, loved it. But
so you're an introvert, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, it was just, it would be like if I wanted, I would see at the Guthrie that Eartha Kitt is there, so I'd go to the Guthrie and I'd say, Eartha, we would like to have you on the show.
Oh, that's really awesome.
People don't turn me down. I think
it's probably why your organization's so successful.
Yeah, I think so. So anyway, in a year, I doubled the ratings for both the radio and the TV, and I went to Ken Berry, who was the executive producer, and I said, Ken, I want a credit line produced by Sylvia. He said, you can't have that. I said, I am the line producer. I said, without me, these shows don't get on the air. Well, you still can't have it.
Oh,
so
gosh.
I got to tell you the year, then you'll know what his answer was. This was May 1965. He said, you can't have it because you're a woman. I said,
Okay.
That's not a problem, Ken. I quit. I quit the job, packed up everything, moved to New York, got to New York June 14th, 1965. I didn't have a place to live. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything other than no way was I going to have somebody tell me I couldn't have something because I was a woman. And I was very lucky. I got a job at Videotape Center right away. I went through New York on $5 a day and found the Alma Matthews Methodist Girls Club, which was in West Village. What better place to start your New York life? And it was $12 a week for room and kitchen privileges.
My
okay,
gosh.
It was. I would love to go back there. So anyway, that was the start, and I have, I've been very lucky in that every time I had a job, whoever I worked for usually took me to the next job and the next job. But by 1969, I got married and
It's when it all fell apart, right?
Yeah, it all fell apart, is right.
Oh,
Moved from New
Lord.
York to New Jersey. And by the way, New Jersey, everybody doesn't understand how gorgeous it is. I live on 3 acres in a house built in 1720. My office is in a carriage house out the back door. I'm 50 miles from New York, 10 miles from the ocean, 80 miles from Atlantic City, and 75 miles from Philadelphia.
That sounds horrible.
Tell me,
Totally kidding.
tell me what's wrong. And I have a
Sounds
herd of
amazing.
deer, and I have, I got all the accoutrements. So, in 79, and there's some jobs in there that are not relevant, but in 79, I was working for AT&T, and I thought, I worked for them 2 years, 9 months, and 3 days. I thought, I can't deal with this. I come from 3 generations of entrepreneurs. Happens to be all male entrepreneurs, but they're all entrepreneurs. And there is a strain in your body that makes you not want somebody to tell you what to do.
I hear you clucking.
I know you do. I figured this would resonate with you.
Yeah.
So in January 1979, I started my own business. Didn't know what I was going to do. But because I had worked for AT&T, I knew I could do technical documentation, so I did that. And I'm a really good salesperson because I am benefits oriented. And so then I began to branch out and do more PR. All of a sudden, 1986, I had 34 people working for me, and I had 4 offices, one in Fort Myers, Florida, one in Washington, one here in New Jersey, and one in Boston. Okay, and by September 1989, I said, I hate my job. Because my job wasn't doing what I liked to do. I wasn't able to be creative. I was just busy. My favorite line was when the PR director said, the glass on the fax machine is dirty.
Oh, God.
This is how nice I was. Clean it! But anyway, and I told everybody, I said, I'm going to, get you farmed out with clients, and I just want to be a one-woman operation. And I started doing community development, which I adore, mostly with business improvement districts and main streets where I would generate money. I would help rebuild a community through events, through PR, and that's what I meant to do. But also at the same time, I had heard about this program at NYU for sports entertainment marketing.
Sure.
And I thought, well, let me apply. I thought, you've got guts, Sylvia. Why would they hire you? And within 5 minutes, they said, you're hired. I said, you're kidding.
It sounds like you have had a pretty impressive track record. It's incredible. It really is.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love hearing
No.
all about it, especially.
So what brought you to travel, specifically to Uganda?
Oh, well, all right. I taught a class at NYU in 2003 in the Center for Philanthropy and Fundraising called How to Ask for Money. And it was January 2003, and it was geared strictly to nonprofits because nonprofits are very tenuous at asking for money. Mm-hmm. We do a great job, and then they'll give you a sob story. Our children have lice, and that's not how you do it. There's all sorts of plus ways. So this man comes sauntering up to me, and I'll just say, hi, my name is, and I'm with, and I'm just auditing. I don't have to do any work. I said, well, how do you do? My name is Sylvia Allen, and I'm your teacher, and I travel 50 miles one way to teach from the heart. You either register or get out. I said, I don't take audit students. So
I'm listening. I like this.
Yeah.
Well, and that's true. I mean, an audit student just occupies space. And when I taught, you're not paid a lot of money. This was teaching from love. So I was tough on him, and by the fourth week, he said, I love your style. I said, I'll bet. He said,
we gotta lead into the next segment, but
Okay.
It'll be fun. I can tell you taught with love, and then it'll be interesting to see and hear about how you started your organization and how all of that came about. So
Yeah.
Great.
With the Rotary Connection and all that fun stuff too. So
that was really
Thank
fun.
you.
Man.
Yeah.
It sounds like that you've had one heck of a ride.
I had a wonderful ride, and I just keep riding,
Yes.
And
So-
it sounds like you drag a lot of people with you. You're coming whether you like it or not.
I do.
Well, we'll bring you into the next section here in just a moment, Sylvia. But
Okay.
as a reminder to everyone, you are listening to Searching for Service, brought to you by District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joseph Kirk. Stay tuned to hear more about Sylvia.
All right, there we go.
Welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joseph Kirk.
And as a reminder, you can find us on your favorite podcast platforms. And
We love those 5-star reviews.
if you are listening in for the first time, we have Sylvia Allen of Sylvia's Children. And in our last section, we just got to know Sylvia and who she is as an individual. But for this next section, we're going to take that and wrap it into the inception of Sylvia's Children and how it came to fruition. So let's go ahead and dive in, Sylvia.
Yeah.
Share your
Okay.
story.
Well, when I said to this guy, if you're an auditing one, get out. So by the fourth week, he said, I love your style. Yeah. And he said, I want to invite you to Africa. Now, I already knew what the answer to my question was going to be because I had just finished reading Poisonwood Bible. But I said to him, okay, who's going? He said, well, 5 ministers. I said, 5 ministers and me? And he said, yeah, you'll be safe. I said, I wasn't worried about me. I had read, just read Poisonwood Bible, you'll see. But I said yes.
Joe's looking it up
Because-
right now, actually, I think.
Yeah. But I've done so much. I've traveled all over the world teaching people how to sell and to do sponsorship and events and so on. But I hadn't been to Africa. So in May of 2003, off we go with this man and 5 ministers and me to Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda. And that's what they call sub-Saharan Africa, and it's on the east coast. Uganda is landlocked. It's on Lake Victoria, but there's no ocean by. And it was wonderful. The Tanzanian people, whenever you see any of the Maasai warriors, that's Tanzania, the very tall, handsome guys. I'll never forget one of the lunches in one of the villages, one of the ministers said, that young man is flirting with you. I said, I should be so lucky. Shut up, Yeah, holy cow. So, and you began to see how much they were giving up for us. Like I glanced out the window one time. Here we are eating with knives, forks, and everything. And this woman is washing dishes in a dish pan, and there's a big jerry can there. And I thought, she had to go get the water first. Now she's washing all these dishes because they've provided it to us. We don't need to eat. They need to eat. And it would be those kinds of moments that were jarring. So anyway, we go to Tanzania, and then we go to Kenya. I'm not really crazy about Kenya. It's when we got to Uganda, and we only had 4 days left, then we'd leave on the 5th day, that I had this unbelievable pressure on my chest. And I said, I'm supposed to be here. What do I do? And that first day was a Sunday, so we're in this big church, and of course all the ministers get up. We're here to save you. And I stood up. I said, I'm here to thank you. I said, you don't need saving, but you do need help. I said, and I'll come back and teach you how to be entrepreneurs. And I sat down, and then I said, how am I going to do that? Because I didn't know what I was going to say when I got up there. And if you believe in the Holy Spirit then came with a baseball bat and said, come on, lady. I've tried to get your attention. Let's make it so you have to deliver.
Judging by your background, I'd say that you brought the baseball bat, but
But so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're in the different villages, and of course, tons of people. Oh, if you just give me money, I will. Da 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 da. And I got to do some teaching, which was exciting. I got to do some community development teaching. It was on the last day that I was teaching business people how to charge for their products, the American economic system, sponsorship, because they all have signs on their little stores, Pepsi-Cola, Nestle. I said, what do you charge them? Oh, we don't charge them. We're lucky they'll put them there. I said, wrong, wrong. 2,000 shillings a month, 20,000 shillings if they prepay, give them 2 months for free. Well, 2,000 shillings at that time, just so you know, was $1. So at the very end, and some people speak English. It's theoretically the official language, but they speak Lugandan. I had a woman translating, and I said, Betty, please tell them that I'm done. And she said, Sylvia, they don't want you to stop. Oh,
it sounds a lot. It sounds a lot like that you taught them how to think. And
I did. Yeah, that's my whole goal.
Yep, you taught them how to think, how to be able to adapt to their environment, how to profit appropriately, and to succeed. So that's the model of a good coach right there. Well, it sounds like a good grandmother.
Yeah.
Well, and it was because and of course when she said go on, I said, okay, Sylvia, how much of Dr. Peel can you remember? Zig Ziglar, the Khalil Gibran. I hauled out every piece of power of positive thinking that I could.
Oh, and I'm sure it was like gold for them too, right? Because they just don't have that structure of thinking.
Yeah.
It's something we take for granted every day. And
that's because we're Americans.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so at the very
end,
I'm proud to be an American. This man comes up to me, and he'd been in every audience. And I live on the East Coast, so I thought, I bet that guy's stalking me. I'm ready, And here's this plaque that says, I thank God for what I am. And on the back side, it says, the children at the Embreezy Advanced Primary and Daycare School want you to be their grandmother. I said, I can do that. Because if you're in sales, there is a thing called TYG, trust your gut. Mm-hmm. My stomach didn't flop with him. My stomach had flopped with a lot of others, not with him. So I said, okay, give me your name, your email address, your phone number. I will do that. And his name was Reverend Jeffrey Walter Kawuma. He had started the school in 1997 with 60 children. He now had 439. It's based on the British model, so it's baby class, top class, then P1 to P7. Of the 439, 139 were orphans, and he had 4 buildings. I came back to the United States. I said, okay, I'm going to form Sylvia's Children, and I'll be a nonprofit. And I immediately incorporated and immediately became a state nonprofit, and then said, oh, great. You don't know how to run a nonprofit. You don't even know what you're doing. So I said, aha.
There's a theme to your story. It's I got myself into something. I don't know how to do it. I'm going to figure it out. Yeah. I love it. I think that's truly the embodiment of the entrepreneurial spirit right there.
Well, that's what I tell people
Ready,
when
fire,
they want to
aim.
be entrepreneurs. I say, jump in the pool and pray on the way down. There's water. Just do it.
So good.
Or my other favorite is when a sign says thin ice, walk as far as you can. And when you hear it start crackling, lay down flat. That way you spread your weight out and you go a little further. So, there are your little nodules. But anyway, I said the first thing is I made myself my own client with Allen Consulting, because I've handled tons of nonprofits. I've done their PR. I've done their marketing. I've done their solicitations, their fundraising. I've done all of that. So I said, get out of being nose to nose with it and just be your own client. So I did a website, and I said, okay, the first thing I got to do is get these little orphans sponsored. So got the orphans sponsored. In the first year, I only raised about $3,900. Then the next year, I raised $11,000. The next year, $16,000. The fourth year, I hit 25. And then I said, okay, I got to get people over with me so that they can begin to see, because it's an extraordinarily moving experience. So 14, I put out the call, all seminars I was doing, everything. I ended up with 14 people in June of 2007. And I made sure I have two children, my daughter Michelle, who is now 52, and she's head fashion designer in New York, and my son, who is 49, is a free spirit, yoga teacher, surf photographer. They're opposite ends, but they both take care of themselves. Neither of them want to be married. I have no grandchildren, but I have 1,000 children in Uganda, so I would say, and I don't have to.
You're doing well.
And I think that's a perfect place to segue into our third segment, where you can speak to a little bit more of your 1,000 children and more or less what you've done to help them. It sounds like that, we've kind of developed this, like, how did it start? And now let's really, in this next section, we'll get into, what do you do? And then the last section will be what are you going to do in the future here? So.
Okay.
We're excited to hear a ton more. It's been incredibly fruitful. So thank you so much, Sylvia.
Thank you.
Incredibly impressed by you.
Yeah.
You're like, seriously, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to jump more.
He already jumps quite a bit too, Sylvia. So thanks for that encouragement. Appreciate it.
Kelly's like, oh my God.
Well, thank you so much, everyone. We'll be right back. This is Searching for Service, brought to you by District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joseph Kirk. We'll see you in the next segment.
Welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joseph Kirk.
And as a reminder, you can find us on your favorite podcast platform.
And we love those 5-star reviews.
555. If you are tuning in for the first time, we have Sylvia Allen on of Sylvia's Children. And for this next section, we're going to really dive into as Joe likes to call it, the nuts and bolts of the operations of Sylvia's Children. So go ahead and take it away, Sylvia.
Sylvia, first of all, you are an amazing storyteller. I got to tell you that. I'm like, oh my goodness. And
it's just the truth.
Yeah, it is. It comes so naturally, and it's like you just get so sucked into the stories. You're like, oh wait, 11 minutes went by.
Joe prides himself in being a really good storyteller, and I can agree that he definitely is, but I am sure he has taken some solid notes from you, Sylvia.
That's cute. Well, as I started to say before, I took all these 14 people, but I had to take my son and my daughter because I travel all the time. They were always saying, oh, we don't know where our mother is. She's in China. She's in Japan. We don't know where our mother is. She's probably saving an Indian, all of that stuff. And every time I'd say, I'm grandmother to these African, oh, yeah, right, now you're in Africa. So, okay, fine. So I packed them in, too. And when you get to this, and it's a lot of flights and everything, at the end I'll just tell you a little bit about a trip. But we get to the school, and at that time there were 800 kids. They're all lining the walkway from the road all the way to the auditorium and singing and dancing. And it's awesome. It chokes me up. And my daughter, who works in Garment District, she's a Garmento. Ma, get off the bus. I said, yeah, I will. But I said, I want you two kids with me. So we're walking down this row, and I look over to the left, and here's Michelle touching each child. And I look to the right, and here's Tony touching each child. And we get to the bursar's office, and my son, who's 6'2", 200 pounds, puts his arms around me, puts his head on my shoulder, and sobs. I said, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
And my daughter has a tough time expressing anything, but when we were in the auditorium, you had to present and give your name and everything. She said, I don't like to talk in public, but I have one thing to say. I am so proud of my mother. Okay, done. Got my kids. All right, I can move on. So with that, because I run a PR business, and because I can't spend full time on Sylvia's children, I do an enormous amount of fragmentation. If somebody says, will you come talk to our group? Yep, absolutely, I'm on my way. I was the chair of the mission committee at my church. Oh, surprise, we do Christmas in July every year, and every Sunday I ask for money for Christmas for the kids. But that expanded to other churches. And the thing I did most of all, I wanted to make them self-reliant. I wanted to help them. I wanted to be like the basement for the house and let them do what they're good at, which is teaching. Jeffrey is the owner of the school. I have no ownership whatsoever. I'm not an NGO in Africa. I didn't want to pay $10,000 just to be a non-governmental organization, to have them say, yes, you're a non-governmental organization. I don't need to do that. Here's where my heart is. I'm going to raise this money. I'm going to make a difference in these people's lives, in this village's life, and hopefully in the country, maybe 200 years from now, one of those children's children will rise to a position of power where they can make the country a better place.
Well, I think you figured out very quickly what your highest and best use of your time was, it sounds like. And there's no doubt that you inspire and move people to action. So
I do.
I think that's really incredible that you were able to figure that out, because that's actually kind of the anti-entrepreneurial spirit, where the entrepreneur wants to do everything from, procuring funds to, whatever the most basic item is. So to have that ability is huge and very inspiring for our listeners too. So as they're, figuring out what their conquest is.
Yeah.
You have to realize that what you're doing is worthwhile. That's the first thing. Secondly, the people, I am a witch with a B when it comes to how the money is managed over there. Okay? I check the books. Whenever they need to buy something, I say, you buy it and send me the receipt, and then I will pay for it. I'm meticulous about it because you've entrusted me with your money to make a difference in these children's lives.
So what specifically are you doing for them? It sounds like that you're.
I thought you'd never ask.
All right.
Well, all right. Remember I said he had 4 buildings?
Yep.
We now have 26. I have 20,000 chickens. I have 8 2-story chicken coops, so the children get eggs now, so they get protein. I have over 1,000 children in the school. 250 of them are orphans. I have 100 pigs. Like, my pigs died of swine flu 2 years ago. Oh, now what do I do, right? So I put out a press release, for $50 you can buy a pig, and So I put out another press release that said, buy a pig, name a pig. I sold all 100.
Wow.
Because it was something special and personal for them. Can I name it after my granddaughter? Can I name it after my father? Call it any name you want, right?
Oh, my gosh.
My favorite was Donald Trump. But anyway, I've constantly... So those 100 pigs have little piglets. They have at least 10 each time and twice a year. So you can sell the piglets to a guy who wants to be a farmer, so now you're helping the economy. 100,000 mango trees. We had 500,000 coffee trees that we sold to the government. We now have a small coffee processing plant. We have a small corn milling plant. We are building a little model farm. We're on 10 acres on the campus, but I have another 7 acres, and we're building a model farm that will be a tourist attraction. Here's how we do farming. And it could also be part of our training for children for agriculture.
So you've built and supported a community, essentially. I mean,
The community's doubled
yeah.
since I've been there.
Well,
Our school had empty land around us.
So-
Empty land. The village was already on the other side of the street. We have on our side of the street now as many buildings as they've got on the other side.
Wow. And most of this work is being done by the local people. You're
Absolutely.
so it's you've given them the catalyst to grow themselves, which I think
Yes.
I mean that's
incredible.
That's absolutely incredible.
I don't want to, somebody said, well, do you want to run it? No, I don't want to run it.
They want to run it.
They want to.
You've taught them how to run it themselves.
Yeah, we've won awards. 3 years ago, we got a certificate from the Uganda Educational Authority for having the top teachers in the country.
It's
Oh my
incredible.
gosh. Congratulations there.
Yeah, well, P7 classes, they have to take all this countrywide tests. For 3 years in a row, we had the top performing P7 classes.
So what are you most happy about that you have accomplished thus far? What was the most gratifying?
86 of my orphans now have college degrees.
Wow.
That is impressive.
What do you have any idea what the number was previously, before?
No, they had the orphans didn't go to college.
Well, then there you go. That's incredible.
Like right now, I have 87 orphans in high school. I have 60 in college and technical school. They're either teachers or nurses or mechanics, or my favorite is Mummy's School of Beauty, Catering, and Tailoring. How that goes together, I don't know, but it's there. But
loosely connected.
Yeah.
They don't have to live on the street. They don't have to carry a hoe and work in the garden. They don't have to carry a weed whacker so they can whack weeds by the side of the road.
Well, not only have you given them purpose, but you've given them the opportunity to choose their purpose too. I think I think that's a huge distinction too, where they've kind of been the captains of their own ship versus kind of whatever the world's just kind of given them at that current point. So that's the gift that keeps giving and will probably supersede you far beyond.
Oh, I hope so.
You're like a curator of opportunity.
I love that.
it.
Yeah.
Curator of opportunity.
It's been wonderful
Great way
hear
to put
about
it.
We are going to be wrapping up this segment, and my goodness, this is just
I know,
so
we-
incredible.
We need more time.
Yeah. But
this-
for the last segment, we're going to talk about what you see in the future, because you've done so much already. I'm curious to see where you see it going in the future. So
Oh, I've got some ideas.
I have no doubt.
As a reminder, you're listening to Searching for Service. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joseph Kirk. We'll be wrapping up here in the last segment.
Welcome back to our final segment of Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joseph Kirk. I can't believe we're already through three
I know,
sections.
it feels like it's like blink of an eye, and here we are. So just as a reminder, we have Sylvia Allen on of Sylvia's Children, and as many of you know who have been listening in on a regular basis, we always like this last section to be about where organizations, nonprofits, whatever the circumstances might be, where they see themselves going with that organization. And so,
Yeah, Sylvia, you've done so much. I mean, not only just in your life itself, and then also what you've done with Sylvia's Children. So what do you see as the future of all of this? What's your hopes and dreams?
Well, okay, so my hopes and dreams, first I need $25,000 to finish my model farm. And once I have the model farm, then I have another revenue generator for the school. You know, we've already got chickens, we've already got pigs. And with that model farm, then people can see here's how we live in Uganda. The other thing is, and I'm going to go over just for a short 4-day check-up on a trip, I want to find out how we're making this coffee processing plant work and how we're making the corn milling plant work. I have a physical 6,000 square foot medical clinic that has 3 examining rooms, a lab, a dental room. I just put in all new solar because during COVID the solar died. And I need to outfit that clinic. I need to raise $250,000 to get it finished off and hire staff and market and get so that we serve not only the school, my original plan is serve the school, but also serve the village. One of the first times we were there, when we got there, the guy said, "You're just in time for Kasozi Moses' funeral. He died of a heart attack." An 11-year-old. I said, "Not on my watch." I said, "I'm going to build a clinic." Somebody said, "How are you going to do that?" I said, "I don't know. I'll do it. Somehow I'll do it." So I have to do that. I also have to figure out how to. My kids don't want to run the business because they don't want to work like I do. My heart is in this. I'm a very good writer. I know how to solicit money. I know how to give a speech. I know how to do all this stuff. They don't want to do that. So I've got to have some sort of migration strategy. I'd also like to have a $2 million trust fund so that if I fall off the planet by some fluke, that there's money there, ongoing money, for these orphans to have high school and college.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my major plans. Now, because I'm working with this foundation research, I'm also going to go for $75,000 for a marketing budget. Allen Consulting pays for everything right now. I thought it'd be nice if somebody else did. And so get that marketing budget. And then there are some of these grant makers that will give you money just for operating funds. And the guy I'm working with, he said they'd pay you a salary. I said, "A salary? What am I going to do with a salary?" I said, I haven't done that for so long. And here's what's interesting, though, and I want to address how I got involved with Rotary, because I was not a Rotarian until about 10 years ago.
Wow.
And it came about because I had been on Jason Davis's show, On the Road.
Mm-hmm.
I had been on for my opera house that I owned in Aiken, and thank God I sold that. That's another whole story you don't need to know about.
I just keep shaking my head at Joe like, is there anything she hasn't done?
I have not been a pole dancer, just so you know. Nor am I going to be, so you can relax. But Anita Jader, who was with the North St. Paul Maplewood Oakdale Rotary, called me. And she said, and I just loved it, because you've heard me talk enough, you'll know what my answer was. "Are you ever willing to come speak to groups?" I thought, oh, poor Anita, she's in for the shock. So I said, sure, I'll come talk to the group. And they're a wonderful group of Rotarians, just unbelievable. And when I started, I said, "I'm going to tell you about this, but if you think you're going to escape without me asking you to help support me with money, that won't happen." I said, because what I'm doing is changing people's lives, and I want you to participate in it with me. Well, after that, they sponsored a child, and then they just keep helping me. And when I got so that I wasn't coming out to Minnesota a lot, I still keep my membership in that Rotary because I can do Zoom. Because 2 years ago, they sponsored me for a $12,000 grant, which I got. This time we just got $21,600, which pays for 36 of my orphans in high school: food, clothing, lodging, health care, and education.
That's incredible.
Well, they're just wonderful. They're just wonderful. And the thing is, I go to a Rotary here. You can only belong to one, right? So I go to the Greater Long Branch Rotary. And every time they have a meeting, and we'd like to introduce you to our longest-running guest, Sylvia Allen. But they have helped me with my school. They did a fundraiser for me. I'm supposed to get a check next week from them for 8 of my orphans in high school. People are very good.
Yeah, and it's been a common theme on this show that Rotary has just been the vehicle to really help, support other groups. I mean, we really mobilize people. Obviously, we mobilize a lot of money. But, a lot of our listeners also are non-Rotarians. Mm-hmm. So what piece of advice would you give to people that are out there that are looking for service. You obviously kind of took the bull by the horns and just kind of forged your own way.
And there certainly are people out there that are just
how
like
can you
you.
say that? I'm blinking my eyelashes.
But there's a lot of people out there that are seeking service. So what piece of advice do you have for them, to get involved in Sylvia's Children or in other types of service projects? Because it doesn't sound like that you've ever needed a piece of, you've never needed a tailwind in your life.
No. I feel like sometimes like a big bag of wind, but no. I think the best thing to do is get over yourself.
Ooh, I love it.
Well, look, let's just take, if you lived in my little village of Imbrizi in Uganda, only 5% of the homes have electricity. Only 5% of the homes have running water. It's probably a dirt floor, and the dirt floor is very much, well, I still have a lake home up in northern Minnesota, north of Lake Mille Lacs, and it's that red clay. Well,
Yep.
That's what they've got in Uganda. So you've got this red clay floor, and yet they would give you the shirt off their back.
Isn't
if you
that
knocked
incredible?
on their door and said, have you just got one extra egg? Oh, I have. What else do you need? It's very much they care for each other. And as Americans, we need to quit caring about ourselves and care about the world. Because Thomas Friedman wrote a book, The World is Flat. It is flat. We are all tied together because of technology and everything else in the world. We need to care about everybody else. And when you look at, I love Starbucks, okay? That's why I can't live in Uganda, because they don't have a Starbucks.
Well, it sounds like that there's your next mission.
Yeah.
Starbucks, you're going to
Franchise
Uganda.
of Starbucks.
But if
Watch
you
out,
go to Starbucks, you can get a Trenta chocolate foam cold brew for $6.13.
Unbelievable.
So get
expensive.
one for $5.13. Give me $1 a day, and I can guarantee that an orphan has their education in primary school paid for a year. Food, clothing, lodging, health care, and education. $1 a day.
Starbucks,
sorry, you wanna-
if you're listening, there you go. There you go.
Well, I am going to say we have a website, sylviaschildren.org. We also have a Sylvia's Children YouTube if you want to see precious. And look, I don't like little kids, off the record, but these are
Off the record, on the record.
yeah, such wonderful little. They are so well behaved. They are so grateful. You give them a piece of candy, and they're so just. It knocks you out. It really. There was a little girl. She was easily 200 feet from me. She saw me all the way across, and she and they can't say my name, so I'm Grand Sylvia, and she yells, "Grand Sylvia!" and she comes racing pell-mell. She runs into me and just throws her arms around me.
Love it.
That's so great. And I tell you what, I'm grateful for you. This has been an incredibly inspiring
Can you believe
interview.
we're almost wrapped up here, Sylvia?
We've got like
Good.
30 seconds left. Can you believe it? But seriously,
well.
thank you so much for all that you have done for Sylvia's Children. And my goodness,
It's been such an honor having
Truly
you
inspiring.
on, Sylvia. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Searching for Service. As a reminder, it's time to stop searching
and start serving.